Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, today we're going to be doing what if Naruto had a guardian angel? Like, my fault, like, I feel like some of y'all gonna feel like this is irrelevant because I just made, like, one that was what if Naruto was blessed? And it's kind of like that, but it's not like that at all. But, I don't really know, bro. But, anyways, let's get into the what if. So, when Naruto died and Naruto got older, all of the money was getting inherited to Naruto, and Naruto got 1 billion Ryu. And when he grew up, he bought himself some nice things, you know. And in this picture, let's just say he's 10. And, like, this is, like, what he likes wearing. But he's not always going to be wearing this. So, one late night, Naruto was training. He was like, I'll live my dad's legacy. And he was outside training. And it was 11:59. And then it hit 12 o'clock, and then you heard a dun, in Naruto's house. It was his clock, and he was like, well, it's midnight. He said, I should be getting going, but I want to train overnight. And then he was like, then he got exhausted because he started training way too much in that 1 minute. And when he got exhausted, he looked up in the air and looked at the moon. This is what the moon looked like. And then he looked again. It's not her. Then he looked again, and I'll show y'all the picture. He looked up, and then he looked at the moon, and then he saw like a figure coming down. And he was like, wait, what is that? And I'm gonna show y'all what it is right now. Me and my friends from my Discord made this. I give credit out to, well, one of them really didn't do nothing. So I'm gonna just give credit to, I forgot his name. It's something Otosuki. But I'm gonna just give credit out to him. I might comment his name if I do have comments, not disabled. And I'm about to show you the picture of what she looks like right now. This is what she looks like. And you can see it's like half bluish and half devilish. And like it's half reddish. And I'm going to tell y'all what that's all about. I literally just gave y'all a hint that I didn't mean to. But I'm going to tell y'all what all of that is about. And it came down and said, hey, Naruto Uzumaki. And Naruto was like, how do you know my name? And then she was like, I know your name in particular, but I don't know anybody else's. He was like, what do you mean? Are you a stalker or something? And he was like, wait, and how are you flying? And then she showed off her wings, and he was like, how does this make sense? And she said, I'll explain it all to you in a minute, Naruto. And Naruto's yeah. But, I'm kinda training. I'm kinda in the middle of training. She said, well, when you're done with training, I'll tell you, Naruto. And then Naruto was like, yeah, sure. Then he started training. Some more. And the guardian angel helped Naruto. She was like, well, it's this move that your dad made up. I kinda knew him well. And he was like, you know my dad? And he was like, well, we were kinda friends. And then he was like, yeah, okay. He said, well, your dad made up this move called the Rasengan, and you should try it. And then she told him how to use it and stuff. Then Naruto. And then she said, wait, I gotta tell you some tips. She told him all the tips, and then Naruto got a first try. Then Naruto said, thank you. Then she said, no problem. And then Naruto was like, well, that was pretty cool, but thanks. And he said, well, I'll be heading back in. And he said, you can come in as well, but, you might have to sleep out. And she said, no, I think I'll see the moon. He said, no, that's kind of weird to me. And he said, well, I'm a guardian angel, so it does seem kind of weird. And then Naruto said, yeah. And then he said, oh, well, bye. And then he went in his house and left the door open. Then she came in behind him, closing the door. Naruto went upstairs and went in his room. And he laid down. The next morning, he woke up pumped. He was like, oh, yes. And he was like, well, dang it. I gotta go on a mission today. He was like, I hate going on missions. I'd rather train. And then he went downstairs and woke up the angel and said, well, I'll be going training. She said, well, I have to come with you, Naruto. And Naruto said, what do you mean? Well, Naruto, since I'm a guardian angel, I have to keep watch over you. And right now she was full blue. Let's just say she was full blue. And Naruto said, yeah, sure. And then he went to the place that Kakashi and them were meeting up. And Kakashi said, hey Naruto, wait. And then everybody was shocked, like, hey Naruto, they were like, it's a weird thing behind you. I think it's a fly. Swat it away. And then she turned all red, and then she got like a spear in her hand, and then just ran at them with the spear, and then they started running away. And then Naruto said, calm down. And then she said, sorry. I had to turn on a mode that they would be scared of. And then they were like, Naruto, what is that? And he was like, well, I guess it's my guardian angel. And they were like, huh? He said, yeah, I really don't know much about it either. I just had figured out about it today. He was like, yeah, cool. Well, we gotta go to a mission. He was like, yeah, cool. And then she said, oh, if you're going on a mission, have this, Naruto. And she gave him these. The red one is devilish mode and the blue one is God mode. And she said, the red one is devil mode and the other one is God mode. And Naruto said, thanks. I think I'll need to know that. And he said, yeah, I think I need to know that. Ah! Hey, yo, chill. He said, I think I need to know that. And he was like, yeah, sure. And then Sasuke said, let's kill it. And then Naruto put out his red sword. And he swung at Sasuke. And it didn't hit Sasuke, but like a wave, like a red wave, shot at Sasuke. And Sasuke was like, it cut him in his buttocks, and he was like, ow, what was that for? And he said, never speak on her and ever again. And he was like, hey, what's the change of heart all of a sudden? And then this made the angel blush a little bit, and nobody really noticed but Kakashi. And she was like, that's kind of weird, an angel having a thing for a regular person. And I don't even know if this is a regular thing, but this is kind of weird. And nobody else noticed but Kakashi. And Kakashi, he was just like, yeah, I'll leave it alone. Then he said, we have to go on a mission. They were going on the Tazuna mission, and they were going on the Tazuna mission, and they won. And then Tazuna said, that's a pretty cool looking kid you got there. And the guy, he said, yeah, I just discovered the rest of his full power. He was like, and then Tazuna looked up and was like, what is that thing? And then Naruto said, I don't think you want to do that ever again. And then he said, yeah, sure, kid. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm very much serious. I'm warning you. He's like, okay. And then Tazuna said, we gotta go this way. And then the guardian angel said, that puddle over there, somebody's in it. Naruto, stick your sword in there. And it's two of them, so use both swords. And if you do, you'll look like me, red and blue. And then Naruto, he said, yeah, okay. Then he stuck the swords in there, pulled them out, and it was two dead people. It was two dead people on them. He was like, oh, God. And then Kakashi was like, those are the two demon brothers. And then he was like, that's weird. And then Naruto just cleaned it off, and he kept holding. He was double wielding the swords. He was double wielding the swords, and he was blue and red at like his guardian. And Sakura, Kakashi, and Tazuna, and like the others were just looking at them, like, looking at Naruto like he was very weird, like he was definitely unhuman, but they didn't really think much of it. And then Naruto said, "I sensed something." And then he said, "It's just a rabbit, but it's white." And then the guy was like, "Since when did you get so much good at sensing?" He was like, "Well, last night I did some training. It's white." And then Kakashi was like, "Somebody's coming." He said, "What do you mean, Kakashi?" And then Naruto said, "Oh, now I know what you mean." And then Sakura and Sasuke were like, "What are they talking about?" As well as Tazuna. And then his guardian angel said, "Strike now." Naruto pulled out his devilish sword and swiped up in the air, and it hit Zabuza. But luckily, it just hit the sword, and it didn't hit Zabuza. And Zabuza said, "Oh, we have ourselves a sword fight. Which one would you go with, Sonny boy?" And he was like, "I think I'll go with devilish mode." And then he put away his god mode and grabbed out his devilish mode. Then he was charging up, and his body was turning full red, and a whole bunch of like red chakra came out of him. And then as he was charging up, like Naruto's cloak came out, but it was red. And then Naruto looked at himself and then she was like, "Say super strike and run at him." And then Naruto, the super strike, ran at Zabuza, and he was so fast that Zabuza couldn't even sense him, and Naruto stuck the sword right in Zabuza, and Zabuza making Zabuza drop in the ground. And then the guardian angel said, "To your left." And then that was when Haku was coming, and Naruto he sliced her head off. And Naruto was like, that was pretty crazy. And then he said, thanks. And he was like, "You can call me, hold up." And she was like, "Naruto, you can just call me, Suri." And Naruto said, Suri? And then she said, "Yeah." And Naruto was like, "Yeah, okay." And then they completed the mission. And then Kakashi reported to the Hokage the new powers that Naruto had. And then the Hokage was like, interesting. And then he looked more into it and found out that Naruto had a guardian angel, and he called Naruto to the Hokage's office at once. Then he saw Naruto with a red and blue thing floating over him. He said, "Can that guardian angel or whatever leave. And he said, nope. She stays wherever I am. So if you're planning to attack, you're gonna die. And then he said, yeah, okay. And then he said, well, I need to take him in custody. We don't know what he can do. We need to take tests on him. He said that in his mind. And then he said, yeah, Naruto, I have to talk about yourself. I have to talk about something. He said, come here, Naruto. And then Naruto got a little bit skeptical, as well as the guardian angel. And then Naruto was like, something seems fishy in his head. And then he said, I can sense more than one people, but I'll act surprised. And then Naruto was waiting for him to strike. And then the Hokage stood up and started lecturing Naruto. And Naruto was like, there's a key word in this. And then the Hokage said, we want you to strike our enemies. And then a whole bunch of people jumped out and attacked Naruto. Naruto simply dodged. And he swung once, killing all of them with his devilish sword, turning his body red. And then Naruto charged up and said, I would kill you, but I don't have the time. And then he said, I'm out of this place. Then he jumped, and then he got out of the office, and Hinata was with Neji training, and she saw Naruto running, and then he said, hey Neji, what do you think's wrong with Naruto? He usually doesn't run that fast. And then he saw like the little angel thing floating behind him really fast. And she was like, what is that thing? And then he was like, well, let's go see. Then Naruto ran to his house and said, I gotta get out of here. I gotta pack all my things. He packed everything, and then he heard a ring on the door and a knock. And then he hurried up and he looked through the peephole and saw that it was Neji and Hinata. And then they saw him with a backpack on, and they were like, hey Naruto, where are you going? And then Naruto said, he was being very hurt. He said, the Hokage is planning to kill me or test on me because of my guardian angel here. And then they looked up and saw that there was a red and blue angel or whatever. Then they were like, Naruto. And then they were like, Naruto, why are you packing your stuff? Naruto said, I'm leaving the village. As he was still breathing very heavily. And then Hinata said, Naruto, don't leave the village. And Neji said, let him be. It's the right thing to do, and don't let anybody else know except the people we need to let know, and we need to tell our friends, and we need to tell them this. And then he said, yeah, let's go. Then Naruto said, yeah, he should get out of here. They could come at any moment. Naruto packed his things, and he grabbed some marshmallows and some other food that he would need, and he grabbed like 2 cases of water, and it was like a big bag, and he said, we gotta get out of here. And then Naruto went in his mind escape and said, Kurama, can you and the guardian angel here train me? And then he said, well, yeah. He said, but if it's okay with the guardian angel, because, I'm kind of a demon or whatever. And then he asked her, and he said, yeah, I'm an angel and a demon, so it really doesn't matter. And then Naruto was like, yeah, thanks. And then he wanted his mind escape and said, yeah, Kurama, but we gotta get out of here. And then Naruto charged up his devil strike. That's what I'm gonna call it when he charge up and a red cloak come out. And it's one called God strike when he uses the blue sword. And he used that to go faster. And he just zoomed out of there. and the villager saw a blue light just phew past them. I mean, red light just go really fast past them. And then hold up. And then Neji and Hinata told everybody, and then he was like, go, and then they were like, go get Naruto, and then Sasuke said, oh god, this is not happening here now. And then Sakura said, let that demon go. And then everybody looked at Sakura and said, you should have been the one leading. And everybody went except Sakura. And then she said, Sasuke, why are you going to go get that demon? And he said, you really don't get it, huh? You're as annoying and dumb as I thought. And then he walked off. And then Sakura just fell on her knees, looking stupid. And then Naruto was about to go. He was already at a tree, chopping it down with his bare hands, just breaking it. And then eventually she said, just use your God sword. It can cut things really easily. And he said, thanks. And then he just cut down like 3 trees. And then he was like, I could be a lumberjack with a sword. And then he said, I couldn't build a house. Then he was like really, really far away. And he found a place. And then he cut a whole bunch of trees down. Let's just say cut down he cut down 90 trees. He cut down 90 trees. And by the end of the night, he was like, and he was really far away because of the sword. The sword got him really far away. He said, I better start building. And then he started building the house. And the angel was helping as well. His guardian was helping as well, picking up logs and putting them on each other and like stacking them, and then grabbing some more mud and then rubbing it on it and then pitting it down. And they kept doing that continuously until they made that whole like hut or house, you could say. And Naruto needed somewhere to sleep, but he didn't get no furniture. And he said, we can leave now. We can probably go get some other stuff we need. And he said, and then she said, we have all the stuff we need here, Naruto. And he said, what do you mean? It's a lot of wildlife. And then she said, how do you think people make stuff? And he said, good idea. And then she was like, I think I can only help you at least 3 times, but it's worth it. And then she gave him some cheers. He was like, what would this do? She said, and then she pointed at some sheep. Then Naruto said, good idea. He said, but what would this need to be for? To make a bed. And let's just say it was gonna be like a really like cushy bed. And he sheared a whole bunch of sheep. And then he picked one up and like made like a fence and then put them in there. And he was like, yeah, this should be about right. And then he had to get everything that he needed for a bed. And then he finally made it. And then he carved out a little piece at the bottom. And then then he put some glue or whatever. Let's just say that he put like a sticky substance. And then he did that on all 4 sides. And then put some wood under that so it can stand up. And it was only enough for 1 bed. And then he was like, oh, God, I think I'm going to have to wait. And then Naruto made a dresser and stuff. And then the one thing he needed was water. Then he found a nearby lake. Then he made like a tube. He made like some tubes, and they sucked out the water. And it was a hole. He made like a hole in his house, and it was like a pipe. He made like a pipe, and it went all the way into his house, and it gave him water. And Naruto was just like surviving, and eventually he said, I need to go get some food because I'm running low. He said, I have all the water I need, but I'm very running low on food. And then he said, I might have to go hunting. Then she said, with those swords, yeah, those aren't the best with hunting. Yeah, even though they're good for combat, yeah, I think you'll need something like a dagger. He was like, what's the difference? He said, no difference, but I just feel like daggers are better than katanas when you're hunting. And he said, He said, what about firepower? And then he said, well, I could do this. You could use your shuriken. And he said, but I don't think that was going to be powerful nowadays. And then he said, well, I can make you Senju. And he said, wait, you can make me Senju? And he was like, and then he was like, well, what would I need to be a Senju for? And he said, you can have Senju shuriken or whatever. And then he was like, yeah. And he was like, wait, you can make me types of different clans? And she said, yeah, and that will take a favor. He said, I think I'll only need 3 favors. He said, well, can you make me 25% Uchiha and 25% Senju? And then she was like, yeah, but Naruto, why would you need that? Naruto said, I want all the power I can get. And let's just say all of this that happened took him at least 2 months. 2 months, yeah. This took him about 2 months. And Naruto was like, yeah, I'm happily running low on food, so, but yeah. And then he made a pouch and put the Senju blade in there. And then he said, I need to train to get the Sharingan. And then she said, yeah, you do. But I would most likely hunt some big animals so you can get food. And if it's a dangerous animal, you can possibly unlock the Sharingan and get some new techniques that you need to use. Then he said, that would be a good idea. Yeah, I'll do it. He said, thank you. And then he heard a knock on his door. He was like, there should be nobody out here. And then he opened the door and saw, let's just say, the whole crew saw like the whole class, like Shikamaru and them, except Sakura. He saw everybody except Sakura. And then he was shocked and was like, what are you guys doing here? And then they were like, we came to get you, Naruto. And then he said, it's too late. And then he opened his pouch and said, get out of here now. Then they said, Naruto, we're not going to fight you. Then Naruto said, well, I'm not going to become a clone then. And then they were like, huh? Naruto? And then Naruto said, I'm not coming back there. And if you think I'll come back, then you're a fool. And then he said, I better just get out of here. And then he flipped out 2 of his pouches, pulled out a kunai, and then pulled out 2 Senju shuriken. I was like, I don't want to do this. And then they said, okay, back off, Naruto. And Naruto said, you gotta come home. And Naruto said, home. That's what y'all call that place? Well, for me, that's just a place that I used to live. He said, this is where I belong, in the nature and in the wild. And this coat right here, he didn't have that, but let's just say he killed a bear and just made it that. And this, and he was just wearing the other stuff down there. And then, anyway, where did you get that coat from? He said, a bear. I have several more. You guys want one because y'all can stay here for a while, but not too long. He said, and plus, I'll have to make more beds. And then he said, I actually collected a lot of wool over the past 2 months. He said, I could probably make at least, I don't know. And then he made like a whole bunch of beds, but I'm not gonna calculate how many. And it was 2 people on each bed. 2 people had to sleep on each bed. And let's just say, actually, one person had their own bed because Sakura wasn't there. And Naruto, he slept with not in that way. He was with obviously his guardian angel, and then everybody is just random. Like I'm not gonna get into that detail. They woke up this morning, and then Naruto said, "Get out," and then he said, "Have this." Then he passed them some food and water. He said, then they said, "Thank you, Naruto. We have been starving." And then he said, and then they said the only thing we could eat was beans. I mean, not Lee. And then what did he say? Shikamaru said, "Oh man, thank you. All of that other food was a drag. All we ate was beans." And then he was like, "Yeah, now get out of here before I kill you." And then he ran off. I was like, Naruto got intense. And Naruto was like, oh. Then he broke every single one of the beds and said, "No more sleepovers." And then she said, "Don't you think that was kind of harsh?" And then he said, "Harsh? What? You think I'm going back to that place?" He said, "Yeah, some people might have been nice, but what's the point?" And then she said, "Yeah, okay." And then Naruto made some other uses out of it. And then he said, "I'm going to go hunt." And then he ran across. Let's just say he was climbing up a mountain, and he ran across a mountain cat, and it was a family of mountain cats, a family of 5, and there was the mom and dad and 3 kids, and they weren't little. And then all of them said and growled at Naruto. And Naruto said, "Oh, this is not gonna be fun." And then he said, "Just kidding. This is gonna be the best thing of my life." And then he was like, "Okay, you stay back. I got this." Then he put out his Sindri blades, and he got in a pose of like a meditation state where he put his leg, like one of his legs, up to his knee, like he put it up there, and it made like a P with his leg. And then he said, "Shinju throw," and then he threw a whole bunch of Senju shuriken at them, and it hit every single one of them in the head because he could control it. Because most of 2 of them were off course, and then Naruto, like he held out his hand and he moved them in the right spots, and then it hit them all in the head, killing them. And he said, mountain cat stew tonight." And then he saw rabbit. He said, "Or rabbit stew," and then threw kunai at it. Then he collected everything, and he like cut all the fur off of the rabbit and mountain cats, and he did all the stuff, and he said, this will be good. And it was mountain cat, and he was eating like mountain cat, and let's just say he was eating a mountain cat, like, no, I don't know. He was eating the mountain cat, and rabbit. He was like, this is gonna last me a couple days. And he said the rabbit probably won't last, but the rest of it will. And then he said, hey, Saru, and then I forgot her name, Saru, Surreal. He was like, Surreal, and then she said, yeah, and then he said, why don't you ever eat? And she said, well, our body doesn't work the same as humans. I don't get hungry as often. And he was like, yeah, that's weird. They're just like us. And she said, well, if I hadn't killed DNA, I would probably, And then we time skip 7 years. And so Naruto is 17, and as well as Saru or whatever. Saru? Should I just name her Ryu? 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 I'm not just name her Ryu, bro. I'm just saying. And then he was like, huh, it's been kind of boring out here. Maybe I should go take on the King Bear. Like what I meant by the King Bear was the biggest bear, and it was like the father of all of them. And he was like, maybe I should take out the whole family. And then he went in a cave, and then he pulled out both of his swords, and stood there and did like a tree formation, like he did with the mountain cats. And it was Senju blades in his mouth, and he was holding the 2 swords up. And then the bears got in a formation. It was like the king bear in the front, then the other 2 strongest, then the strongest, and then the other 2 strongest, and then like it just kept going until the weakest. It went like from the strongest to weaker than the strongest, but still strong, and then weaker than the strongest, but still, strong. And then it went weak, and then weaker than a weak, then weaker than a weak, and then that's how it went. It was like the strongest to the weakest, and then they all ran at Naruto, and Naruto threw 2 shuriken at the 2 next to the King Bear. The King Bear jumped at Naruto. Naruto just put one hand up, hitting the sword through the bear. The bear was like, it was tipsy, but it wasn't. It was just hurt, and it was kind of still moving. And then it threw like a claw at Naruto. Naruto dodged and it cut, and Naruto cut some of his hair because it moved, and then it was still a little bit tipsy. And then the other bears jumped at Naruto all at the same time. While Naruto did a spin, he said, great spin, and then he spinned with the swords in 2 different directions, spinning, killing all of them. And then it was a 1v1 against the King Bear and Naruto. And then he said, Senju blades, come back. And then the Senju blades were coming back, and Naruto caught him with his teeth. And then he threw the 2 Senju blades at the bear, and then he threw him and that was on the bear's arms, and the bear got sent back, and it was caged, but it's only its arms. And then he threw 2 more at its legs, and then its legs were stuck, and it was stuck. Then Naruto he threw like one of his sword at his head, at the bear's head, but the bear moved its head in a different direction. Then Naruto threw several kunai at it, killing it, hitting it in the head. And then Naruto said, that was a pretty strong fight. I should have kept him around as a pet. And Naruto said, but I'll meet one day. And then 2 years later, Naruto's 19, wearing like one of these fur coats, but it was even furrier because he was wearing the big bear, the king bears. And then he was just roaming in the mountains and saw like a big mountain cat. And then Naruto was like, And then he saw that it was hurt. Its like paw was like hurt. He's like, how did he get hurt? And then he saw a whole bunch of hunters shooting at it, and it was moving and zigzagging. And then it killed one with its paw, and then smacked down the other, making him fall down the mountain. But nobody knew what happened to that guy. He just magically vanished, I'ma say. And then Naruto threw his senju blade at the other. And then he walked up to the mountain cat and like he was bending down, putting out his arm. And then he got close enough to it, then started patting its head. And then he said, come on. And then he was like, come on, buddy. And then he picked it up and then fixed up its leg, putting a bandage around it. And then he got like a huge cage for it. And he got like a water bowl and stuff and a food bowl. And let's just say he fed it rabbits. Let's just say he every day he found rabbits and then just threw it in his food bowl. And he got fresh water from the lake every day. I mean river. And she said, that was really nice of you, Naruto. And Naruto said, don't sweat it. It's an animal that needs help, and so I'm gonna help it. And this could be my pet. And then she said, nothing. And then she said, hey, Naruto, I have something to tell you. Then he said, yeah, sure, what's up? And then she said, well, Naruto, I kind of like you. Naruto said, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. And he was like, what do you mean? Naruto said, no, not like that. I just don't know what to say. And then she said, you don't have to say nothing, Naruto. And Naruto was like, this is weird. And then he was thinking, I said, this is weird. This is very weird. And then he opened back up his eyes, and the guardian or whatever was kissing him. And he was like, I don't know how to feel about this. And he was just like, and then they started kissing each other and all of that. And Naruto, and then they stopped kissing. And the mountain cat was like this. He was like, you know how people would be like fake throwing up when they hold their neck and they'd be like, the mountain cat was doing that. He was holding his paw up to his neck and was like, he was making like sounds in there. And the angel said, shut up. And then Naruto started laughing because the mountain cat got he got in he started growling and got his teeth were showing like he was very mad. And then he was like, calm down, you two. And next time skip for 6 years. So he is 25, I believe. And they got let's just say it was 2 years later, so it was 3 years later, so they were 22. And I'm gonna just cut to the chase. The angel Ryu had a baby. Yes, that's what I say. They had a baby. Yeah. Psych. Okay, y'all thought. But I'm planning that is gonna happen, but not right now because that's like, hold up. That's not happening right now, but it is. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of spoilers. Oh boy. That was a little bit of spoilers, but he got the mountain cat and he was 19 taking care of it. 2 months later, a whole bunch of shinobi troops came and then saw Naruto with a big mountain cat rubbing its head and playing with it. Then Naruto grabbed like a huge like log and then threw it. Then the mountain cat ran at it, then grabbed it, and then just ran on Naruto, running him over. And he was just playing with the mountain cat. And then they looked at Naruto and said, "Is he insane? And I feel like that thing will kill him." And then Tsunade jumped up in the air, and then Naruto said, "So it's you." Then he said, "Go get him, boy." And then Lady Tsunade was surprised because the mountain cat jumped at her, biting like her foot and like throwing her to the ground. Then they were like, "Get that thing!" They were like, "Get that thing! It's trying to kill the Hokage." And then Naruto said, "It's time for feeding time." And then Mountain Cat just ate three of the shinobi. He like put them in their mouth and just like were shaking his head, and he bit down and killed them. And then he was like, "Good boy." And he said, I should have been made you the best mountain cat hunter around. You're already pretty good at it." And then the mountain cat was like, "Yeah." And then he didn't say that. He was like, "Yeah." It sounded like he was saying he like, let's just say he roared or whatever. And then Naruto was like, "Good boy." And then Naruto said, "You need to get them out of here." And then he saw Sasuke with a Rinnegan walking at him, as well as Sakura and Kakashi. And then they said, "We're taking you back, Naruto." And Naruto was like, I guess not." And then he said, "Boy, stand down." And he's talking to his mountain cat. And then, yeah. And then it ran back at Naruto, right next to Naruto, growling at them. And Naruto said, "These are some long-lost buddies who don't know what they're getting themselves into." And then Sasuke was like, "Chidori." He put out a Chidori. Kakashi put out a lightning cutter, like I say that. And Sakura didn't pull out nothing. She just charged at Naruto. Then they were like, "We're bringing you back, Naruto." Well, at least Kakashi and Sasuke said that. And then Naruto, this what Shikamaru would have said if he was here, and he would have been right. He would have said, "What a drag!" And this is really a drag. Fighting your own people. And he said, "I'll kill you any day of the week." He said, "Hey, Monster Cat, kill the pink-haired fool." Then the mountain cat ran at Sakura, biting her leg off. Biting her leg off. And he was like, and then she was like, "Ah ha ha." And then he was like, "What are you doing, Naruto?" "Oh, and this is your teammate." He said, "Teammate? What should I say? Long lost weirdo." And then the mountain cat bit her other leg off. And he was like, "Stop, Naruto." And then Naruto said, "Why should I?" as it went for another bite, and Kakashi's lightning cutter it right in its like jaw. Then Naruto he just took me off. Nobody touched my mountain cat and gets away with it. Then Naruto grabbed his red sword, charged up, and got a red cloak. Then zoomed at him and killed Kakashi right then and there. And then Sasuke said, "You idiot! What are you doing?" And then he hurried up and grabbed Sakura and then got out of there. And then he said, "Oh no!" And then the mountain cat was like, is whimpering. And Naruto said, "It's gonna be okay, buddy." And then he grabbed some medical stuff. And then a whole bunch of shinobi came down throwing kunai. Then Naruto jumped in front of the way. And one of them hit him in the chest. Then one of them hit him in the stomach. And then one of them hit him around his area. And Naruto, and then Naruto said, "This is not where I die." And then, Lady Tsunade. Wait, didn't Lady Tsunade die? I think she died. And then one of the shinobi said, "Our mission was to bring him back, and we just killed him." And then it poofed away. And then he said, "What? That was just a shadow clone?" And then the mountain cat disappeared. And he was like, "That also?" And then he said, "That didn't disappear." He threw a shuriken at Ryu, and then she disappeared. Shadow clones? He said, they cannot be shadow clones. They were transformation jutsus. And the first, and Naruto was a shit. And then the real ones came up and said, "You guys are weak. You guys are shadow clones. And that is pathetic. So get out of here. I'll really kill you." Then they ran for their lives. And yeah, that's how I'm gonna end it off. I thought, like, I gotta do what I gotta do, so I'm gonna end it off right here. And if you like it so far, like, subscribe with notifications, and peace.